You can't fake boxing. That's why I love it so much. I keep coming back to this topic because boxing made me a better version of myself. Certainly better than what I would have been without it in my life. Mostly because boxing strips away illusions. It's great for that. And that's just one of the many lessons that boxing gave to me as I was learning it, both in and out of the ring. For that reason, I often cite boxing as being directly responsible for a lot of the successes that I've experienced over the course of my life. It clarified my expectations of the world around me, and it made me think about the type of lifestyle I wanted to have for myself. Boxing made me understand cause and effect, and it also made me understand my role in both of those things. I find myself bonded to boxing in a way that I've never experienced with other sports or even careers. And that's saying something, given all the sports that I've participated in and all the careers that I've had. But you know what? I never got to turn professional as a boxer. Mixed martial arts? Yes. Boxing? No. And like everything in boxing, there's a story behind that. And there are lessons in that story that I think about to this very day. See, when I was in my early 20s, I was working part-time at a fight gym owned by an OG in the fight game. He was a genuine fighter from the old school, a champion kickboxer, a Commonwealth title holder, and just an old school fighter in the best sense of that term. And while I was working for him part-time, I approached him one day and asked him what he thought about me going pro as a boxer. We are years removed from that conversation, but I can still remember exactly what he said to me. Look, you can fight and maybe make some money doing it, but it's not going to be a lot of money. And even if you fight for a championship, it's going to seem like very little money when you compare it to all the hours and sacrifice that you put in to get there. Here's an offer. You can run this gym for me, work here full time and manage it. You can do some personal training and you can coach the boxing. You can build up your portfolio, build up your skill set, and you will make more money working here for me than you will as a professional fighter. I was poor. I accepted his offer. He didn't talk me out of going pro. He just offered me a better alternative. It was an inflection point in who I was going to be, and what I thought I was going to be doing with the rest of my life. So I focused on being a personal trainer. I worked as a coach. I managed the gym. I expanded my coaching from boxing to kickboxing. My portfolio expanded just like he said it would, and the money was good. The work was good too. Both were reliable, and it was a good period of my life, right up until the day that I decided to leave and try to become a police officer. That was something that wouldn't have been feasible even a few years earlier, but it was now because of boxing and the personal growth that I experienced working in that gym. And yes, I'm glossing over a lot of details that took place in the intervening years from the moment that I wanted to be a professional boxer to the moment that I became a police officer. A lot of things happened to me that influenced that decision, and they all happened over the 6 years or so that I worked at that gym. But I actually managed to successfully transition from that position into a policing career that lasted 14 years. Basically, 2 decades had passed from the moment that I started one job when I had very few prospects to the conclusion of another job that gave me a semi-respectable career while I was in it. And those numbers are important for the context of this conversation, because I often compare them to what might have happened had I turned professional as a boxer. How so? Well, it takes on average 4 years for the typical amateur boxer to get to a point where they're ready to turn professional. And the average professional boxer has a career that spans about 16 years if they're able to stay healthy. Add those together and you get 2 decades. Compare that math to the coaching and policing careers I chose instead, and the numbers play out remarkably close to one another. Either way, 20 years of my life was spent on one path instead of the other. So the question I often ask myself is, did I make the right decision? No. Yes. Maybe. It's difficult to say, right? Because we only know what we know. However, midway through my policing career, an opportunity crossed my path. I decided to turn professional in mixed martial arts, and it almost got me fired from my policing career. That's a long story that I might tell you one of these days, but not today. It's just a reference point for the discussion we're having right now, because it's a little funny to me that even as a successful police officer, I still really wanted to be a professional fighter. Policing never really satisfied that urge to compete or that need I had to be able to call myself a professional, both of which I had carried with me since the very first day that I had set foot in my childhood gym. All that being said, money was better in policing than it was in boxing. And I had a good career in policing too, with lots of high points and even awards for service. But when I did go pro in mixed martial arts, it was way better. Being a professional fighter was so much more fulfilling for me than being a police officer ever was. Or it could have been if I'd have kept on fighting. But like I said, going pro in mixed martial arts almost got me fired halfway through my policing career. Especially after all the media attention I received being a police officer who was transitioning into a professional mixed martial arts career. And I was given an ultimatum by my agency to either choose policing or choose fighting, but I couldn't do both. And once again, just like years earlier, I chose a steady income and secure employment over the unreliability of trying to be a professional fighter. But at least this time, I knew exactly what I was giving up because I had fought professionally. And it was amazing, but it wasn't promising. And the only reason I knew that it wasn't promising is that you learn some things when you grow up in and around a boxing gym. You see a lot of people come in with dreams of being successful fighters, and almost none of them make it because boxing strips away illusions. Remember, you can't fake it till you make it. Faking it doesn't put food on the table. Faking it doesn't cover your expenses. And it doesn't matter how many times you tell yourself that you're going to be a champion. The years will pass and there will be nothing to show for it. It happens all the time to all types of fighters in all types of gyms all around the world. You just can't fake boxing. But guess what? You can't fake life either. That's something else boxing taught me.